The day the sky changed, humanity held its collective breath. It was a Tuesday, unremarkable in every way, until it wasn't. Dr. Elena Santos had just finished her morning coffee when her phone erupted with notifications. As the lead astrophysicist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, she was used to early morning alerts, but nothing could have prepared her for this. Unknown objects detected in Earth's orbit, the first message read. Elena's heart raced as she quickly dressed and rushed to her car. The normally congested Los Angeles freeways were eerily empty, save for the occasional emergency vehicle racing by with sirens blaring. As Elena arrived at JPL, she found the facility in chaos. Scientists and engineers rushed from one station to another, their faces a mix of excitement and terror. On the main screen, a live feed from the International Space Station showed what had thrown the world into turmoil. 3 massive, crystalline structures, each easily the size of Manhattan, hovering silently above the Earth. Dr. Santos called out her colleague, Dr. Amit Patel. "Thank God you're here. We've been trying to establish contact, but what?" Elena asked, her eyes fixed on the alien vessels. "They're not responding to any of our signals," Amit replied, his voice trembling. "And that's not all. Look at this." He pulled up a series of readings on his tablet. Elena's eyes widened as she scanned the data. "These energy signatures, they're unlike anything we've ever seen. Are you sure this is accurate?" Amit nodded grimly. "Triple-checked. Whatever these things are, they're operating on principles of physics we haven't even theorized yet." As the day wore on, the world outside descended into chaos. News channels broadcasted scenes of panic from every corner of the globe. Looting broke out in major cities, and religious leaders proclaimed the end times. Governments scrambled to respond, but in the face of such an overwhelming unknown, their efforts seemed pitiful. Meanwhile, in a secure bunker beneath the Pentagon, Captain Jack Harper of the United States Space Force found himself in the strangest briefing of his career. As one of the few humans who had spent significant time in space, he was now being looked to as an expert on a situation no one could have anticipated. "Captain Harper," General Stanton began, her voice tight with stress. "I need your assessment. Are we looking at an invasion?" Jack studied the holographic display of the alien ships, his mind racing. "Ma'am, if this were an invasion, I believe we'd already be under attack. These vessels have technology far beyond our own. If they wanted to harm us, they could have done so without revealing themselves." "Then what do they want?" demanded the Secretary of Defense. "Sir, with all due respect, your guess is as good as mine," Jack replied. "But I do know this. Whatever happens next will define humanity for generations to come. We need to approach this with caution, but also with an open mind." As the meeting continued, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that he was witnessing the dawn of a new era. Whether it would be one of destruction or enlightenment remained to be seen. Back at JPL, Elena and her team worked tirelessly to decipher any information they could glean from the alien ships. As the sun began to set, casting an eerie glow through the facility's windows, Elena made a breakthrough. "Everyone, look at this," she called out, her voice cutting through the tension-filled air. The team gathered around her station as she pulled up a series of complex equations on the main screen. "I've been analyzing the energy patterns emitted by the ships," Elena explained, her eyes bright with excitement despite her exhaustion. "At first, I thought they were random, but look here." She highlighted a section of the data. "There's a pattern, a rhythm to it. It's not just energy emissions. I think it's language." A hush fell over the room as the implications of her words sank in. If Elena was right, this could be the key to communication with the alien visitors. As night fell across the globe, humanity found itself at a crossroads. In homes, shelters, and government facilities, people huddled around screens, waiting for news. The alien ships remained silent sentinels in the sky, their presence a constant reminder of how small humanity truly was in the vastness of the universe. In Washington, D.C., President Evelyn Chen addressed the nation and the world. Her words, carefully chosen and delivered with a calm strength, sought to reassure a panicked populace. "My fellow citizens of Earth," she began today, "we face the greatest challenge and the greatest opportunity in human history. The presence of these visitors from beyond our world has shaken us to our core, but I ask you now to remember who we are. We are explorers, innovators, dreamers. We have faced the unknown before, and we have triumphed. Together, we will face this new frontier with courage, wisdom, and compassion." As the president's words echoed across the airways, Dr. Elena Santos and Captain Jack Harper, though separated by thousands of miles, shared a moment of silent understanding. They knew that the choices made in the coming days would shape the future of humanity. In her lab, Elena redoubled her efforts to decipher the alien language, driven by the hope that understanding could lead to peace. In the Pentagon, Jack began formulating plans for humanity's response should the aliens prove to be friend or foe. And above it all, the alien ships hung in the sky, silent and inscrutable, waiting for humanity's next move. The arrival had happened. Now, the true test of humanity was about to begin. As dawn broke on the second day of the aliens' arrival, the world held its breath. The initial panic had given way to a tense anticipation. In homes and shelters across the globe, billions of eyes remained fixed on screens, waiting for any sign of change. At JPL, Dr. Elena Santos had worked through the night, fueled by a potent mixture of adrenaline and caffeine. Her breakthrough in decoding the alien energy patterns had led to a flurry of activity. Now, as the first rays of sunlight streamed through the windows, she stood before a hastily assembled array of transmitters. "Are we ready?" she asked, her voice hoarse from lack of sleep. Dr. Amit Patel nodded, his fingers hovering over the keyboard. "As ready as we'll ever be." "Elena, are you sure about this? If we're wrong..." Elena met his gaze, her determination unwavering. "We have to try, Amit. It's our best shot at communication." With a deep breath, Elena gave the signal. Amit's fingers flew across the keyboard, and the transmitters hummed to life. The message they sent was simple: a series of mathematical equations that Elena believed would translate their peaceful intentions into the aliens' energy-based language. For several agonizing minutes, nothing happened. Then suddenly, the alien ships began to pulse with a soft blue light. "They're responding," Amit shouted, his eyes wide with excitement and fear. Before Elena could reply, her secure phone buzzed. It was a direct call from the White House. Meanwhile, at the Pentagon, Captain Jack Harper was in the middle of a tense strategy meeting when alarms began blaring throughout the facility. General Stanton burst into the room, her face ashen. "The aliens are moving," she announced. "They're descending into the atmosphere." Jack's mind raced. "Are they attacking?" "Negative," the general replied. They're landing. In multiple locations around the globe." As screens around the room lit up with live feeds from around the world, Jack felt a mix of awe and trepidation. The alien ships, graceful despite their immense size, were touching down in carefully chosen locations: the plains of Kansas, the steppes of Russia, the Australian outback, and more. "My God," someone whispered, "it's really happening." Jack's phone rang. It was a priority call from the president herself. Within hours, Dr. Elena Santos and Captain Jack Harper found themselves on a secure military transport, heading towards the alien landing site in Kansas. As the plane soared over the American heartland, Elena briefed Jack on her breakthrough. "The energy patterns weren't just a language," she explained, her eyes bright with excitement. "They were an invitation. The aliens, they're refugees, Jack. They're asking for our help." Jack's brow furrowed. Refugees? From what? Before Elena could answer, the pilot's voice crackled over the intercom. "We're approaching the landing site. You might want to see this." As they peered out the windows, both Elena and Jack gasped. The alien ship, a towering spire of crystalline material that seemed to shift colors in the sunlight, dominated the landscape. Around its base, a small city of tents and temporary structures had sprung up overnight, filled with military personnel, scientists, and government officials from around the world. As their plane touched down on a hastily constructed runway, Elena and Jack were immediately ushered into a secure briefing tent. Inside, they found themselves face to face with representatives from every major world power, all gathered around a holographic display of the alien ship. President Chen's voice cut through the tension. "Dr. Santos, Captain Harper, thank you for coming. As of an hour ago, we received our first direct communication from the aliens. They've requested a face-to-face meeting with representatives of Earth. You two have been chosen to make first contact." A murmur ran through the assembled dignitaries. Jack stepped forward, his military training kicking in. "Madam President, with all due respect, YS." "Because, Captain," the President replied. Dr. Santos cracked their language. "And you have more space experience than anyone else here. But more importantly, because in the few hours since this crisis began, you've both shown the kind of clear thinking and open-mindedness we need." Elena's mind whirled with questions, but before she could voice them, an aide rushed into the tent. "They're ready," he announced breathlessly. As Elena and Jack were led towards the base of the alien ship, the world watched through countless cameras and drones. The tension was palpable, the silence broken only by the soft whir of equipment and the pounding of their own hearts. At the base of the ship, a section of the crystalline surface shimmered and then seemed to melt away, revealing an entrance. Elena and Jack exchanged a look, took a deep breath, and stepped inside. The interior of the ship was unlike anything they could have imagined. The walls pulsed with soft light, and gravity seemed to shift and change as they moved deeper into the structure. After what felt like both an eternity and no time at all, they found themselves in a vast chamber. And there, waiting for them, were the aliens. They were tall, easily 7 feet in height, with bodies that seemed to be made of the same shifting, crystalline material as their ships. Their faces were featureless save for 2 large, multifaceted eyes that glowed with an inner light. One of the aliens stepped forward, its body pulsing with patterns of light that Elena recognized from her research. Instinctively, she raised her hand in greeting. To everyone's surprise, the alien mirrored her gesture. Then, in a voice that seemed to resonate within their minds rather than their ears, it spoke. "Greetings, people of Earth," the alien said. "We are the Luminae, and we come seeking sanctuary." As the aliens' words echoed in their minds, Elena and Jack realized that this moment would change the course of human history forever. The question now was, how would humanity respond? Back in the command tent, world leaders watched the encounter with a mixture of awe and apprehension. Some saw opportunity in this unexpected plea for help, while others feared the consequences of allowing an alien race to settle on Earth. As the initial shock wore off, Elena found her voice. "We welcome you," she said, hoping her words conveyed the right mix of diplomacy and caution. "Can you tell us more about why you need sanctuary?" The Luminae's body pulsed with what Elena interpreted as sadness. "Our home world was destroyed," it explained. "A terrible force known as the Devourers consumed it, along with many other worlds in our galaxy. We are all that remains of our civilization." Jack's military instincts kicked in. These Devourers, are they a threat to Earth? The aliens' light patterns shifted to a deep, ominous red. They are a threat to all life in the universe. We have traveled far to escape them, but we fear they may one day find this world as well. That is why we offer an exchange. Sanctuary for our people, in return for our knowledge and technology to help defend your world. As Elena and Jack absorbed this information, they knew that the real challenge was just beginning. How would they convince a divided humanity to accept these refugees? And how could they prepare for a threat they could barely comprehend? Outside the ship, tensions were already rising. News of the aliens' request had leaked, and protests were breaking out in cities around the world. Some welcomed the idea of alien allies, while others feared an invasion by stealth. In the command tent, heated debates erupted among world leaders. The fate of two species now hung in the balance, and the decision would rest on humanity's capacity for compassion, wisdom, and unity in the face of the unknown. As the sun set on this historic day, Elena and Jack emerged from the alien ship, forever changed by what they had learned. They knew that the coming days and weeks would test humanity like never before, but they also carried with them a spark of hope that this moment of crisis could become humanity's finest hour. The stage was set. First contact had been made. Now, the true test of humanity's character was about to begin. In the weeks following first contact, Earth became a whirlwind of activity and debate. The revelation of the Luminae's plight and the looming threat of the Devourers had shaken humanity to its core. As governments around the world grappled with the implications, Dr. Elena Santos and Captain Jack Harper found themselves at the center of a storm. The United Nations had convened an emergency session to decide the fate of the Luminae refugees. As key witnesses to first contact, Elena and Jack were called to testify before the General Assembly. Elena stood at the podium, her voice steady as she addressed the world's leaders. "The Luminae offer us an unprecedented opportunity," she said. "Their technology is centuries beyond our own. With their help, we could solve global problems like climate change, energy scarcity, and disease. But more importantly, they offer us a chance to prove that humanity can rise above its differences and extend a hand of friendship to those in need." Jack followed, his military bearing a stark contrast to Elena's academic demeanor. "Make no mistake," he warned, "the threat the Luminae speak of is real. If the Devourers found and destroyed a civilization as advanced as the Luminae, we must take this warning seriously. Our survival may depend on the alliance we forge today." The debate raged for days, but in the end, a resolution was passed. Earth would accept the Luminae refugees in exchange for their knowledge and assistance in preparing for the potential Devourer threat. As the decision was announced, reactions around the world were mixed. In many cities, people took to the streets in celebration, seeing the alliance as a new dawn for humanity. In others, protests erupted, fueled by fear and suspicion of the alien newcomers. Despite the challenges, the work of integration began. Luminae settlements were established on every continent, always on uninhabited land to minimize displacement. Elena found herself leading a team of international scientists, working alongside Luminae experts to understand and adapt their advanced technology. In a vast research facility in the Sahara, Elena stood before a holographic display, marveling at the intricacies of Luminae energy manipulation. Her Luminae counterpart, a being she had come to know as Tsar, pulsed with patterns of light that she now recognized as excitement. "Your adaptation to our technology is remarkable, Elena," Tsar communicated. "In mere weeks, you've grasped concepts that took our species centuries to develop." Elena smiled, her fatigue momentarily forgotten. "We're standing on the shoulders of giants, Tsar. Your people's knowledge is accelerating our understanding exponentially." As they worked, news feeds in the background reported on the global changes taking place. Luminae energy technology was revolutionizing power grids around the world. Their advanced materials were being used to create more efficient solar panels and develop new forms of sustainable architecture. In hospitals, Luminae healing techniques were saving lives that would have been lost mere months ago. Meanwhile, Jack found himself in charge of a unique military initiative. In a repurposed NATO base in Norway, he oversaw the training of Earth's first multi-species defense force. Human soldiers worked alongside Luminae warriors, each learning from the other's strengths. Jack watched as a squad of human marines attempted to navigate an obstacle course designed by the Luminae. The crystalline structures shifted and changed, presenting ever new challenges. It was frustrating work, but Jack could see the progress being made. "They're adapting well," came a telepathic voice beside him. Jack turned to see Krell, his Luminae second in command. Jack nodded. "They are. And so are your people. I never thought I'd see the day when humans and aliens fought side by side." Krell's body shimmered with what Jack had learned was amusement. "The concept of alien is relative, Jack. To us, you were the aliens. Now we are becoming one people. As the months passed, the alliance between humans and Luminae grew stronger. Cultural exchanges flourished, with humans eagerly learning about Luminae art, philosophy, and history, while the Luminae embraced human music, literature, and cuisine with equal enthusiasm. In cities around the world, the skylines began to change. Luminae crystal spires rose alongside human skyscrapers, their surfaces shimmering with captured sunlight. Parks and public spaces were transformed by Luminae bioengineering, filled with plants that could purify air and water more efficiently than anything on Earth. But even as humanity marveled at these advancements, a sense of urgency underscored every achievement. The threat of the Devourers loomed large in the collective consciousness, driving the Alliance to work harder, innovate faster. 1 year after first contact, Elena and Jack found themselves once again standing before the UN General Assembly. This time, they were there to present a progress report on Earth's preparations. Elena spoke first, her voice carrying a mix of pride and concern. In 1 year, we've achieved what might have taken us centuries on our own. Our cities are cleaner, our people healthier, our technology more advanced than we could have dreamed. But we cannot rest on our laurels. The Devourers remain a threat, and we must be ready. Jack stepped up, his face grim. Our defenses have improved dramatically, but we're not there yet. The Luminae have helped us establish early warning systems throughout our solar system. We're developing weapons that can rival those that destroyed the Luminae homeworld. But our greatest strength lies not in our technology, but in our unity. As they spoke, screens behind them showed images of the changes Earth had undergone. Luminae and humans working side by side in laboratories, in fields, in classrooms. Children of both species playing together in parks. It was a vision of a future many had never dared to imagine. But even as the assembly applauded the progress, a commotion erupted at the back of the hall. A group of protesters had managed to breach security, carrying signs denouncing the alien presence on Earth. As security moved to intercept them, one of the protesters shouted, "They'll be the death of us all. The Devourers are coming because of them." The outburst was quickly contained, but it served as a stark reminder of the challenges that remained. Not everyone on Earth welcomed the changes brought by the Luminae Alliance. Fear and mistrust still simmered in pockets around the globe. As the session concluded, Elena and Jack found themselves in a quiet corner, reflecting on the past year and the uncertain future. "We've come so far," Elena mused, "but sometimes I wonder if we'll ever truly be ready." Jack placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Ready or not, we're in this together now. Humans and Luminae, united against whatever the universe throws at us." As if in response to his words, both their communication devices buzzed simultaneously. The message was brief but chilling. Long-range sensors had detected anomalies at the edge of the solar system. Anomalies that matched Luminae descriptions of Devourer scout ships. Elena and Jack exchanged a look of grim determination. The alliance had been forged in hope, but it would soon be tested in fire. The Devourers were coming, and Earth's time to prepare was running out. The true test of humanity and the strength of their alien alliance was about to begin. The detection of Devourer scout ships at the edge of the solar system sent shockwaves through Earth's population. The threat that had once seemed distant and abstract was now a looming reality. As panic threatened to overtake the planet, the leaders of Earth and the Luminae knew they had to act fast. In a fortified bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Elena Santos found herself at the heart of humanity's most ambitious scientific endeavor. Project Aegis, as it was called, aimed to combine human ingenuity with Luminae technology to create a defense system capable of repelling the Devourer threat. Elena stood before a holographic display, her eyes darting between complex equations and schematics. Around her, a team of human and Luminae scientists worked feverishly, their differences forgotten in the face of impending doom. "We're close to a breakthrough," Elena muttered, more to herself than anyone else. The quantum entanglement properties of Luminae crystals, combined with our understanding of particle physics, There's something here. Zar, her Luminae counterpart, pulsed with agreement. Indeed, Elena. Your species' ability to think outside established paradigms is proving invaluable. We never considered using our crystals in this manner. As they worked, news feeds in the background reported on the global mobilization efforts. Industries worldwide had been repurposed for war production. Shipyards that once built cruise liners now constructed spacefaring battleships. Car factories churned out armored vehicles and mobile defense platforms. Meanwhile, in orbit around Earth, Captain Jack Harper oversaw the construction of humanity's first line of defense. A fleet of hybrid ships, fusion of human and Luminae design, was taking shape. From the command deck of the flagship, christened Unity, Jack watched as robotic assemblers and space-suited workers swarmed over the hulls of massive vessels. Status report, Jack barked, his eyes never leaving the construction outside. His second-in-command, a seasoned astronaut named Sarah Chen, responded promptly. We're at 60% completion, sir. The Luminae energy cores are integrating well with our propulsion systems. Weapons testing will commence in 48 hours. Jack nodded, a grim smile on his face. Good. We'll need every ship we can muster. The latest intel suggests we have less than a month before the main Devourer fleet arrives. As if to underscore the urgency of their task, alarms blared throughout the ship. Jack's comm unit crackled to life with a priority message from Earth Command. Captain Harper, we have a situation. A Devourer scout ship has breached our outer defenses. It's heading for the Mars colony. Jack's blood ran cold. The Mars colony, established just months ago as a joint human-Luminae outpost, was home to thousands of civilians and crucial research facilities. Its loss would be devastating, both strategically and morally. Understood, Jack replied, his mind already racing through options. We're on it. Within minutes, Jack was aboard a prototype interceptor, leading a squadron towards Mars. The ship, a sleek fusion of human and Luminae technology, moved with a speed and agility that would have been impossible just a year ago. As they approached Mars, the Devourer scout ship came into view. It was a monstrous thing, all jagged edges and pulsing sickly light. Jack felt a chill run down his spine, but he pushed the fear aside. There was too much at stake. All units engage on my mark, Jack commanded. Remember your training. These bastards are tough, but they're not invincible. The battle that ensued was like nothing humanity had ever experienced. The Devourer ship's weapons tore through space, barely missing the human Luminae vessels. But Jack's squadron was quick, their movements unpredictable. They darted and weaved, their own weapons, a combination of human missiles and Luminae energy beams, striking the Devourer ship with precision. As the fight raged on, Jack couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. Humans and Luminae, working in perfect harmony, were holding their own against a foe that had decimated entire civilizations. Back on Earth, Elena and her team watched the battle unfold via real-time feeds. The data streaming in from the engagement was invaluable, providing insights into Devourer technology and tactics. Look at the energy signatures, Elena pointed out, her fingers dancing across the holographic display. There's a pattern here, a vulnerability we can exploit. For hours, the scientists worked tirelessly, analyzing every piece of data from the ongoing battle. As dawn broke over the Rockies, Elena's eyes lit up with realization. We've got it, she breathed, hardly daring to believe it. A way to disrupt their energy fields. If we can implement this across our fleet. She didn't need to finish the thought. Everyone in the room understood the implications. They had found a potential key to victory. In space, unaware of the breakthrough happening on Earth, Jack's squadron continued to battle the Devourer scout. The fight had taken its toll. 3 of their ships had been destroyed, their crews lost to the void. But the Devourer vessel was also showing signs of damage, its movements becoming erratic. One more push, Jack growled, his hands tight on the controls. All units, concentrate fire on the aft section. That's where they're weakest. In a coordinated assault, the remaining ships unleash everything they had. Missiles streaked across space, energy beams lanced out, all converging on a single point. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a silent explosion that lit up the Martian sky, the Devourer scout ship disintegrated. Cheers erupted across the comm channels, but Jack allowed himself only a moment of relief. They had won this skirmish, but the real battle was yet to come. As the squadron limped back to Earth, battered but victorious, they were greeted as heroes. News of their triumph spread like wildfire, boosting morale across the planet. Humanity had faced its first real test against the Devourers and emerged victorious. In the days that followed, Elena's breakthrough was quickly implemented across the growing defense fleet. Jack found himself splitting his time between overseeing the fleet's preparations and working with Elena to integrate the new anti-devourer technology. "It's not a guarantee," Elena cautioned as they stood in the Unity's engine room, surrounded by a mix of human and Luminae technology. "But it gives us a fighting chance." Jack nodded, his face set in determination. "A fighting chance is all we need. Humanity has faced extinction before, ice ages, plagues, our own destructive tendencies. Each time, we've come back stronger. This time, we're not alone. We have allies, we have purpose, and we have hope." As they spoke, reports came in from around the world. The last of the civilian populations were being moved to underground shelters. The Luminae had helped retrofit these spaces with their advanced life support systems, ensuring humanity could endure even if the surface became uninhabitable. In orbit, the defense fleet grew larger by the day. Ships of all sizes, from nimble fighters to massive dreadnoughts, formed up in precise formations. Each vessel was a testament to what humans and Luminae could achieve together. On the far side of the moon, a massive energy cannon was nearing completion. Designed to strike targets at the edge of the solar system, it represented humanity's determination to take the fight to the enemy. As the estimated arrival date of the Devourer fleet drew near, a sense of grim determination settled over Earth. In every city, every town, humans and Luminae stood side by side, ready to face whatever came. In a final address to the joint forces, President Chen's words echoed across the planet and throughout the defense fleet. "Today, we stand united, not just as humans, not just as Luminae, but as defenders of life itself. The enemy we face would see all that we are, all that we have built, reduced to nothing. But we will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Today, we declare in one voice. We will not go gentle into that good night. We will rage against the dying of the light." As her words faded, a silence fell over Earth. In homes, in bunkers, in ships across the solar system, humans and Luminae alike held their breath. The Devourer fleet had been detected entering the solar system. The final countdown had begun. The battle for Earth, for the very future of life in the galaxy, was about to begin. The battle begins. The silence that had fallen over Earth was shattered by the wail of sirens. Across the planet, in underground bunkers and fortified cities, humans and Luminae alike watched with bated breath as holographic displays showed the approach of the Devourer fleet. In low Earth orbit, aboard the flagship Unity, Captain Jack Harper stood at the command center, surrounded by a mix of human and Luminae officers. The tension was palpable as they watched the enemy ships materialize at the edge of the solar system. "My God," whispered Sarah Chen, Jack's second-in-command. "There are thousands of them." Jack's jaw tightened, but his voice remained steady as he addressed the fleet. "All ships, battle stations, remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. Today, we make our stand." As the Devourer fleet approached, the outer defense systems sprang to life. The massive energy cannon on the far side of the moon fired, its beams streaking across space to slam into the lead Devourer ship. The resulting explosion temporarily blinded the sensors, and for a moment, hope surged through the defenders. But as the light faded, they saw that while the cannon had destroyed several ships, the bulk of the Devourer fleet continued its relentless advance. "They're spitting up," reported a Lumini tactical officer, his crystalline body pulsing with urgency. "Multiple attack vectors detected." Jack nodded grimly. "Just as we anticipated. Initiate Defense Plan Alpha. All ships, engage your designated targets." The space around Earth erupted into chaos as the two fleets clashed. Human Lumini hybrid ships darted between the massive Devourer vessels, their weapons a dazzling display of combined technologies. Missiles trailing Lumini energy signatures weaved through space, while beams of concentrated light lanced out from the defenders' ships. On Earth, in the fortified bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Elena Santos and her team worked feverishly to coordinate the planet's defenses. Holographic displays showed the battle raging above, while streams of data poured in from the front lines. "The disruptor fields are working," Elena called out, her eyes fixed on the readouts. "Devourer ships are showing increased vulnerability where our forces have deployed them." But even as she spoke, alerts blared across the command center. A group of Devourer ships had broken through the outer defenses and were descending towards Earth's atmosphere. "They're targeting major cities," reported a harried technician. "New York, London, Beijing, Moscow." Elena's mind raced. They had prepared for this, but seeing it happen was another matter entirely. "Activate the atmospheric defense grid," she ordered, "and get me aligned to Captain Harper." In orbit, Jack was in the thick of the battle. The Unity shuddered as it took a glancing blow from a Devourer energy weapon. "Status report," he barked. "Shields at 60%, replied Sarah, "but we've taken out 3 of their heavy cruisers." Before Jack could respond, Elena's face appeared on the main view screen. "Jack, we've got incoming. Multiple Devourer ships entering the atmosphere." Jack's blood ran cold, but years of training kept his voice steady. "Understood. Diverting forces now." He turned to his tactical officer. "Send the Thunderbolt Squadron to assist ground defenses, and prep our atmospheric engines. We're going in." As the Unity descended into Earth's atmosphere, the true scale of the battle became apparent. Devourer ships, dark and ominous, rained destruction upon the cities below. But humanity was not defenseless. From hidden bunkers and fortified positions, ground-based weapons opened fire. Lumini energy shields shimmered into existence over key locations, deflecting the worst of the alien assault. In New York, the Statue of Liberty stood defiant, a Lumini shield generator at its base protecting Lower Manhattan. In London, energy beams lanced out from the top of the Shard, cutting through Devourer dropships. And in Beijing, a swarm of air-controlled drones, products of human Lumini collaboration, harried the invaders at every turn. Back in the command bunker, Elena watched the global defense unfold with a mixture of horror and pride. Humanity was bloodied, but unbowed. Reports streamed in from around the world, tales of heroism, of sacrifice, of humans, and Lumini fighting side by side against impossible odds. But the Devourers pressed on, their numbers seemingly endless. For every ship destroyed, 2 more took its place. As the battle raged into its second day, fatigue began to set in among the defenders. In orbit, Jack's fleet was in tatters. The Unity limped back into space, its hull scorched and breached in multiple places. As he surveyed the damage, a priority message came through from Lunar Base. "Captain Harper," came the urgent voice of the base commander. "We've detected a massive energy buildup in the Devourer fleet. They're preparing for something big." Jack's mind raced through the possibilities, each more terrifying than the last. "Elena," he called, opening a channel to Earth. "Are you seeing this?" In the command bunker, Elena and her team were already analyzing the data. "It's like nothing we've ever seen," she reported, her voice tight with concern. "If they release that much energy all at once." She didn't need to finish the thought. Such an attack could potentially crack the planet in half. As the defenders watched in horror, the Devourer fleet began to converge, forming a massive, ring-like structure in space. Energy crackled between the ships, building to levels that defied comprehension. In that moment, as hope seemed to fade, Elena's eyes widened with sudden realization. "Jack," she breathed, "I have an idea, but it's risky. We'll need to get a ship inside that ring before they fire." Jack didn't hesitate. "Tell me what to do." As Elena quickly outlined her plan, Jack felt a mix of fear and determination settle over him. It was a long shot, but it was the only shot they had. "I'll do it," he said, cutting off Elena's explanation. "The Unity is the only ship that might survive long enough to pull this off." Elena wanted to argue, to find another way, but she knew he was right. "Okay," she said softly. "Good luck, Jack. The fate of Earth is in your hands." As the Unity set course for the heart of the Devourer formation, Jack addressed his crew one last time. "I won't lie to you. This mission is likely one way. Anyone who wants to evacuate, now's your chance." Not a single crew member moved. With a proud smile, Jack gave the order. "All ahead full. Let's show these bastards what humanity is made of." The Unity accelerated towards the Devourer ring, weapons blazing. Smaller Allied ships provided cover fire, sacrificing themselves to clear a path. As they approached, the energy buildup reached critical levels. "Now, Elena," Jack shouted as the Unity breached the ring's perimeter. On Earth, Elena activated the device they had prepared. A pulse of energy, combining human and Luminae technology in ways never before attempted, shot out from the planet's surface. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, as the pulse reached the Unity, the ship began to glow with an otherworldly light. The energy the Devourers had gathered turned inward, feeding on itself in a cascading reaction. The resulting explosion was visible from Earth, a new star briefly blossoming in the sky before fading away. As the light dimmed, the survivors held their breath, waiting to see what remained. Slowly, unbelievably, the sensors came back online. Where the Devourer fleet had been, there was now only debris. And there, at the heart of it all, a single ship emerged from the chaos. The Unity, battered beyond belief, but still intact, had survived. As cheers erupted across the planet and throughout the remaining fleet, Jack's wary voice came over the comm. "Earth Control, this is Unity. The Devourer threat has been neutralized. We're coming home." The battle was over. Against all odds, humanity and their Luminae allies had prevailed. But as the initial euphoria faded, the true cost of victory became clear. Cities lay in ruins, millions had perished, and the scars of war would take generations to heal. Yet even in the face of such devastation, hope remained. Humans and Luminae stood side by side, no longer as separate species, but as fellow survivors, fellow defenders of life itself. As the sun rose on a scarred but unbroken Earth, the real work was just beginning. The work of rebuilding, of healing, and of forging a new future for two species united by battle and bound by hope. The Devourers had been defeated, but the greatest challenge still lay ahead, proving that the alliance forged in war could thrive in peace. 5 years had passed since the fateful battle that had saved Earth from the Devourers. The scars of war were still visible on the planet's surface, but they were slowly being erased by the combined efforts of humanity and the Luminae. Dr. Elena Santos stood atop the newly rebuilt One World Trade Center in New York, gazing out at the city's skyline. The view was a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of both species. Luminae crystal spires stood alongside human skyscrapers, their surfaces shimmering with captured sunlight. In the streets below, humans and Luminae moved together in harmony, the distinctions between the two species becoming increasingly blurred. Elena's comm unit chimed, displaying a message from her old friend and comrade, Captain Jack Harper. "Turn on the news," it read. "You won't want to miss this." With a gesture, Helena activated the holographic display embedded in the window. The image of a human newscaster appeared, her expression one of barely contained excitement. "We interrupt this program for a special announcement," the newscaster began. "The joint human-Luminae deep space expedition has made contact with a new alien civilization. Early reports suggest that this species, known as the Etheri, are refugees from another devourer attack." Elena's breath caught in her throat. It was happening again, but this time, Earth was in a position to help. The feed switched to a live transmission from the expedition ship. Captain Jack Harper's face filled the screen, older and more weathered, but with the same determined glint in his eyes. "People of Earth and Luminae," Jack began, "we've made first contact with the Etheri. Their situation is dire, but thanks to our experiences and the strength of our unity, we're uniquely positioned to offer aid. I'm calling on our leaders to extend the hand of friendship to these refugees, just as we did for the Luminae years ago." As Jack's words echoed across the planet, Elena couldn't help but smile. The cycle was repeating, but this time with humanity and the Luminae standing together as protectors rather than victims. In the days that followed, the United Earth and Luminae Council convened to discuss the Etheri situation. Elena found herself once again at the center of diplomatic negotiations, but this time as an advisor rather than a bewildered scientist. The council chambers in Geneva were a marvel of human and Luminae architecture. Crystalline structures intertwined with classical human designs, creating a space that embodied the best of both worlds. As Elena took her seat, she saw faces both familiar and new. President Chen, now in her second term, sat alongside the Luminae High Counselor, their body pulsing with anticipation. "Dr. Santos," President Chen began, "you were there at the beginning of our alliance with the Luminae. What is your assessment of this new situation?" Elena stood, her voice clear and confident. "Madam President, honored councillors, I believe we have a moral obligation to aid the Etheri. But more than that, I see an opportunity. With each new species we encounter and help, we grow stronger. We learn, we adapt, and we build a network of allies against the darkness that threatens all life." The Luminae High Counselor's light patterns shifted in agreement. Dr. Santos speaks wisely. "Our own experience as refugees has taught us the value of compassion and unity. Together, humans and Luminae have achieved wonders. Imagine what we could accomplish with yet another perspective, another set of skills and knowledge." The debate continued for hours, but in the end, the decision was unanimous. Earth would welcome the Etheri refugees and offer them sanctuary, just as they had done for the Luminae years before. As the council adjourned, Elena's comm unit chimed again. It was a message from Zar, her old Luminae research partner. "Meet me at the lab," it read. "We have work to do." The lab, located in a secure facility beneath the Alps, was a far cry from the hastily assembled war room of years past. Here, human and Luminae scientists worked side by side on projects that pushed the boundaries of known science. As Elena entered, she saw Zar standing before a holographic display of the Etheri ship. The alien's crystalline body pulsed with excitement. "Elena," Zar communicated, "I've been analyzing the data from the expedition. The Etheri possess knowledge of dimensional physics that surpasses even our own. If we can combine this with our existing technology, we might be able to create a defense system that could protect not just Earth, but entire sectors of the galaxy." Elena finished, her mind already racing with possibilities. As they dove into their work, Elena couldn't help but reflect on how far they had come. The threat of the Devourers still loomed in the background, but it no longer paralyzed them with fear. Instead, it drove them to innovate, to reach out, to forge new alliances. Months passed, and the day of the Etheri arrival dawned bright and clear. In a ceremony broadcast across the planet and to the stars beyond, the first Etheri refugees set foot on Earth. Their bodies were ethereal, almost translucent, with patterns of light flowing beneath their skin that reminded Elena of the aurora borealis. As the Etheri leader stepped forward to address the assembled crowd, Elena felt a hand on her shoulder. She turned to see Jack, back from his deep space mission, standing beside her. "Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this?" he asked, gesturing to the scene before them. Humans, Lumini, and now Ethery, all standing together in peace. Elena shook her head, a smile playing on her lips. "Never in my wildest dreams, but I'm glad I was wrong." As the Ethery leader spoke of gratitude, of hope, and of a shared future, Elena felt a swell of pride. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged not just victorious, but transformed. They had looked into the face of extinction and responded not with fear or hatred, but with courage and compassion. The road ahead would not be easy. Integrating a new species, continuing to rebuild, and preparing for the possibility of future devourer attacks would test them in ways they couldn't yet imagine. But Elena was confident that they would face these challenges as they had faced all others, together. As the ceremony concluded, fireworks burst in the sky, their colors mingling with the natural bioluminescence of the Luminae and the ethereal glow of the Ethery. It was a celebration not just of a new beginning, but of the triumph of unity itself. In that moment, as three species stood together beneath the stars, Elena realized that they had achieved something truly remarkable. They had not just saved Earth. They had laid the foundation for a galactic civilization based on mutual respect, shared knowledge, and unwavering solidarity. The Devourers had sought to destroy life, to consume all in their path, but in doing so, they had inadvertently created something beautiful, a union of diverse species, each bringing their own strengths, their own perspectives, their own dreams of a better future. As night fell and the celebrations continued, Elena looked up at the stars. Once they had seemed cold and distant, full of unknown threats. Now they sparkled with possibility. Whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever new wonders or dangers the universe held, they would face them not as humans, or Luminae, or Ethery, but as united defenders of life itself. The triumph of unity was not just a victory over the Devourers. It was a victory over fear, over hatred, over the idea that differences must lead to conflict. It was proof that when faced with darkness, life would not merely endure, it would thrive. And as Elena watched a group of children, human, Luminae, and Ethery, playing together without a care for their different origins, she knew that the future was in good hands. The story of Earth, of humanity, of life itself, was far from over. In fact, the greatest chapters were yet to be written. The end of one journey had become the beginning of another, grander adventure, and this time, they would write that story together.